The first 3 episodes of Ironheart just dropped, and it might be one of Marvel's best shows yet. But there's still something that I'm not super happy with. Let's get into it. What's going on, Marvelites? The first 3 episodes of Ironheart just dropped this past Tuesday. I stayed up late watching them, and honestly, I wasn't even going to make this review video. However, given all of the negative talk and negative reviews surrounding Ironheart, I feel like I have to do my job and put out the positive stuff that I loved about this show. I expected nothing less from a Ryan Coogler production, and at this point, I think it's safe to say that Ryan Coogler is easily one of the best writers and producers of media today. First and foremost, Dominique, Thorne, and Lyric Ross are crushing their roles, but the chemistry between them is what is so contagious about their relationship. It seems like Dominique Thorne and Lyric Ross grew up together and have been best friends for forever. Now, obviously, I don't know what their relationship off screen before Ironheart was, but you can see their relationship. It doesn't seem forced, and I would say it's one of the best relationships that we've seen in the MCU. In fact, it rivals, as far as I'm concerned, Sam and Bucky, as well as Kate Bishop and Yelena. You can tell in the writing, like, they're not forcing that relationship. It's not like, hey, we have to make Natalie be Riri's best friend, and we got to insert these certain jokes here or there to make it seem like they're really good friends. Like, everything just flows so naturally between the two of them. It's working out so great. Speaking of Natalie and Lyric Ross, I'm gonna go down and say that Lyric Ross is easily one of the best casting decisions Marvel has ever made for a character. In fact, it probably rivals RDJ as Tony Stark, as well as Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. The way that they've written Natalie and the way Lyric Ross is bringing her to life, it just feels like a friend that you've known and that you just are part of, you know, like Riri and Natalie's relationship. Not only is Natalie providing comic relief to the show, but she's also basically portraying a real person, even though she is quote unquote an AI character. This is a stark contrast to what we're used to seeing with say, like Jarvis or Friday, who are just like AI voices and characters that, you know, we're used to seeing and hearing, but we don't actually get to see that like human aspect of them. And that is a main difference with Lyric Ross playing Natalie in this role. Speaking of bringing life to inanimate objects, you can tell that Ryan Coogler and the rest of the writers and the production team took a really careful look at Chicago to make this a character. I've never been to Chicago. I've always wanted to go, so I don't have much to say about it, but you can tell that they've been very purposeful and direct with the shots that they're getting, whether it's, you know, Riri flying into Chicago, as well as just highlighting different sections and neighborhoods. It's really cool to see the different aspects of Chicago, and like they're really bringing it to life. And seeing people from Chicago talk about the show, like the people from Chicago are feeling some deep love as to what Ryan Coogler and his team are doing to highlight and put Chicago, you know, in a mainstream Marvel show. Also, not only that, I'm loving the small side characters that we're getting in this show as well. Like at the beginning, we had that guy who is basically like a truther about the snap. I love the little boy. I forget his name, but he was like, "Don't blame me, blame inflation." Right? I'm loving these little side characters that are just bringing life to this show as well. This whole review can't be said without this next section, and you can tell that obviously Ryan Coogler and the rest of his production team, Shanaka Hodge, who I believe is the showrunner, and the other folks who have worked on this project, including the actors, it's very clear and evident that they're highlighting the Black community and culture. You can tell that this show wasn't necessarily Disney-fied to make it seem like it was made by Black people, about Black culture and Black community. You can see how it shows up in how the characters talk, how they interact with each other, the music choices, how things are presented within the Chicago community and within the community that we're seeing. And as a white viewer, I'm not trying to say that I remotely even understand what that experience is like, but you can tell that a lot of care went into making this about Black culture and Black community, and that's what matters most. We also can't not talk about Anthony Ramos as the Hood. He's also crushing his role, and I'm really enjoying the Hood and experiencing him as a villain within this show. We haven't gotten a ton of magic, although the MCU is developing that after, you know, seeing most of that in Agatha all along, and we've had Doctor Strange and Wanda, but it really seems like they're trending more towards this magical side of Marvel, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm also really enjoying that the Hood is trying to, he's not necessarily evil by heart, but he's just trying to make way with what he's given. And I think that we're so used to seeing people just want to take over the world, but this is more of like a street level kind of thing with a mystical side to that. So it's also very intriguing. We can't also not talk about the Hood's team. I'm really loving this squad. It's kind of like a Suicide Squad, but better, for a lack of a better term. As you're watching the show, I want to be a part of this team despite the fact that they're doing illegal stuff and pulling off heists like every other night. Their energy is just infectious, and I just want to be part of that team. I think one of the other best parts about this is that a lot of this stuff that we're seeing is comic accurate between how the Hood and operates with his actual Hood, as well as kind of how Natalie and Riri's stepfather also died. It's very similar to what happened in the comics. It's very similar to how Riri brought about Natalie as her AI. How Natalie showed up at the end of the first episode is basically the same way that Natalie showed up in the comics. I believe at the end of the first issue of Eve Ewing's run of Ironheart, she just kind of like showed up in the last panel and is just like, what is happening? And she's like, who else did you think it was? It's your best friend. The other main thing that we're seeing that's very comic accurate is Riri and how she's trying to kind of rely on a team in this aspect, but she's also really dealing with her grief and that she doesn't deal with very well within the comics. And you can tell that she hasn't dealt with that very well within this show either. And she's clearly dealing with a lot of trauma and she needs to talk to someone about it. For me, the biggest problem with this show has nothing to do with the actual show. It's the way that Marvel rolled this out and the way that they're kind of displaying it. We dropped 3 episodes this past week. We're gonna drop the last 3 episodes next week. Like, I love seeing all 3 episodes. We basically got a mini movie when we watched it. However, I would rather have the week-to-week drops, even if we just did the first 2. This past week, we did 3 because that was almost an hour long within and of itself. And then if we did 4 by itself and then maybe 5 and 6 together, right? Like, spread it out over a month. Don't just drop it in 2 weeks. And the fact that they haven't done a lot of marketing behind this makes me feel like they're just trying to brush this show under the rug, and it definitely deserves way better than that, especially for all the heart and the care that everyone had put into this. They're really doing this show a disservice by not promoting it more. Part of that has to do with all of the decisions they made, you know, during COVID and whatnot, and I get it, but now they're trying to promote a lot of other stuff that's surrounding this show, and they kind of just like tucked it in right now, and I think that that's really hurting it. That week-to-week drop, I think, allows a lot of fans to talk about it more, to theorize, and to kind of see what's happening. The fact that we're only going to have 1 week between the first 3 episodes and the last 3 episodes, and then people are going to just kind of stop talking about it because Marvel's going to push Fantastic Four. So in my mind, I really think Marvel needs to do a better job of doing that. That's just, it really seems like they're just trying to push this show under the rug, and it really deserves more and better just based off of those first 3 episodes. What did you think of the first 3 episodes? Let me know down below in the comments. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe, especially if you want more videos just like this. Until the next video, Excelsior.